I am pleased to have an opportunity to introduce Mr. Winston Cruz. Mr. Winston Cruz is with NTM from its inception. He has done his MPhil in applied linguistics and his doctoral research is on CAD tools in translation and localization ecosystems. He has produced a documentary, Holy Land of Wizards, on the Nicobaris of Chowra and Iceland in the Andaman and Nicobar groups of Iceland. He was also team leader of machine translation team at NTM. He has published translations for both NTM and outside NTM. He is also a freelancer for private language service, language service providers providing localization and subtitling. Now I invite Shri Winston to give a lecture on topic CAD tools, special reference with Omega D. It's over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sandeep and the team for that introduction, and and thank you all the organizers and the NTM administration and Dr. Tariq Khan and the director CIL, all of you, and good morning to all of you, those who are present. I'm going to talk to you on the CAD tool by name, Omega T, right? That's the title, the topic of my lecture. But before that, I was interested to listen to the team from IIT Mumbai, right, who presented that UDAN project, and many of you participated, in that, and many of you were so eager to know more about those kind of, things. So I was happy to note that some of you have already, you have some experience of working with CAD tools, and some of you actually didn't know what these things are and why they should be used. So today I wanted to make a connection between those presentations and what actually is this thing called CAD tool, right? CAT. So so I want to make a link, and even the following lecture, the next lecture after me, is by Professor Niladri Shekhar Dash, and I have something to connect to that also. So I want to, more than introducing this Omega T, a new CAD tool within 1 hour, I want to actually make a connection between all these things to you all, right? So let me begin. See, that day when Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan was talking about pre-translation, right? Populating any, like if you want to translate something, you upload that file to that server, GitHub, and Udan will give you some pre-translation, which you can use. You can simply, as an editor, you can work on that, or corrector, verifier. They said they had some roles. So they just want you to work on the pre-translation, and so that you can do an effective translation, quick translation, and produce translations in large number, right? So they want to aid translation like that. So they used something called a localization ecosystem, translation ecosystem, and that's the project UDAN, right? So in my case, right, this is what I am going to use is another CAD tool, right? What I'm going to introduce to you is another CAD tool, and this is an open source software, right? Omega T is an open source software, and it is done for you can freely download it and use it anywhere you want, right? But it is something that you have to install on your system and work, and it is a CAD tool. It is not a machine translator, it is a CAD tool, right? So before that, before introducing the tool, I want to give you some initial connections, like I said, some core concepts in using CAD tools, and the localization and machine translation, all those things, right? So let us see some, let's break the ice, right? One example of a sentence: sleepers lying on the platform washed away in flash floods. This is a sentence that you have to translate, let's say like that. So you all have been given this assignment. You have to translate this in 2 minutes, let's say like that, right? And you are translating, right? So I have, you don't have to translate it right now, but just notice this sentence: sleepers lying on the platform washed away in flash floods. You can do it in your mind and you can keep it ready, like, to see the results. I'm going to show you some 2-3 results for you to judge upon. This is one translator, right? By name Y Translator, right? That I have used. Sleepers lying on the platform washed away in flash floods, right? Platform पर पड़े sleeper flash flood में बह गए, right? गए. This is the first translation it gave some, let's say, 3-4 months back, right? Then, because I was working on it, and I was, doing many fiddling with it, then it started learning on its own, and it revised the translation to the next one after 6 months. The second bulleted point that you see, the translation, why revised, is the revised translation that it gave just yesterday, right? Platform पर पड़े sleeper अचानक आई बाद में बह गए, right? So that you see some changes, right? And there's some, of course, typos, kind of errors. But this new word, right, achanak ai, right, that is introduced in the place of flash flood, right? Flash flood also would do the first sentence, but this is like, it is, giving you more, more words from the, target language than simply transliterating them. Achanak ai baad mein, right? It gave like that. So that is one thing. This is the next translator, right? These are all famous translators. Many of you, like machine translators, many of you might have used, right? These are those results, but I'm not introducing the names here because, like, from a government platform, I'm not supposed to recommend anything for you. So I'm just showing you, I'm not promoting any one machine translator or something like that. I'm just showing you the results, right? X translator, sleepers lying on the platform, washed away in flash flood. See, this is Achanak Ai Baad Mein, platform पर पड़े sleepers बह गए, right? So this just moved some syntactic elements, right, here and there. Achanak ai has come at the beginning, thinking that that's a topic, the focus that we are giving. So this translator has given that. Another translator, right? You see, this is sleepers lying on the platform, washed away in flash floods, right? Again, that same sentence, platform पर सो रहे, right? Log. So you see a new element being brought in and a new meaning to it. So sleepers lying. So lying here would mean what? Right? Sleeping. So so rahe log achanak aayi baad mein beh gaye. Right? So the people who are sleeping. So those who don't know Hindi, I want to go back and tell you that this first thing that it is saying, that sleepers, right, who the same kind of translation, who were the sleepers which were on the platform, right? Pade sleepers, platform per pade sleepers, right? Which were on the platform, sleepers which were on the platform, they were washed away, right, from through the flash flood, right, by the flash flood. So the next one also, the flash flood, the flash that came suddenly, right? In that, the sleepers which were lying on the platform were washed away, right? Bagay, right? And the third one. Now, you see here, right? Sleepers who were sleeping, right, on the platform. This is what it is given, the translation, first translation. Sleepers lying has become sleepers who were sleeping on the platform, right? And they were washed away in the sudden flash flood. Right, so that's how it is given. So you see, and this translation also was revised, right? And then it is saying platform per rakhe hue, right? Sleepers achanak aayi baad mein beh gaye. There is a major change, right? First translation it says, right? The first one, it says that the sleepers that who were sleeping on the platform were washed away by the flash flood. The next one is saying the sleepers which were kept, right, on the what is that, on the platform were washed away. So there is another difference. First one says the people who were sleeping on the platform, right? People who were sleeping on the platform were washed away in the flash floods, right? The sudden flood. The second one says that sleepers which were kept, right? So why this big change, and who has done it? The second one and the first, this H translator that I'm showing you is actually a human translator, right? One of our colleagues who has, seen this. His first approximation of the sentence was what you see as the first bulleted point. The second, right, revised after some input has been given to what these sleepers are. If you want to know what these sleepers, why they are saying kept, sleepers kept, you can see the side, the pictures on the side. These sleepers are actually not people who are sleeping or lying down and taking rest or spending their night on the platform. These are sleepers, these wooden logs, if you know, that are kept under the rail, right? In a rail, like you will see this, a lot of these jellystones, and then this, like, parallel, track that is going on, and below that you will see all this, line in line. They have kept some wooden logs, there that are, like bolted to that, track and welded, things like that. They are actually in railways, right? In train and transport system, it is called sleepers. They are called sleepers, right? So did you get my point? Right, what they are looking at now? The human translator has seen this, right? Now, like, this information was given to the human translator, and she or he has been able to revise it accordingly. Now, what you saw previously, without much intervention from people, what the machine gave, right? Some translators, machine translators gave. So what are we looking at here? That we are trying to populate, right, the whatever source that has been given, and before the translator could see that, we want to populate it with the translation, some pre-translation, right? That will be edited or verified, right? In a system like Udan system, in a translation ecosystem, localization ecosystem, we want to do that. So the tool is like used only for editing, right? And editing what has been done by the machine, in that case Udan system. But in a tool like cat tool, like Omega T or Trados or MemoQ or Word Fast Anywhere, and all these, right, Deja Vu, all these machine cat tools, you will actually use not just the pre-translation from a machine translator, but also what has been checked and verified by human translators, right? I'll show you what it is, right? Before that, I'll show you another, like, see, this is the 4 examples that we saw, right? There was one more translation that I didn't show here, right? That was the funniest of all on the top, right? Manchpar, right? This is also a machine translator, which is far away from the target, right? Manchpar jhoot bole, right? Lying, it has taken as lying, that speaking lies, right? That lies. So sleep around, right? It has said sleep around. Baad mein jule, dule, right? They were washed like, clothes or vessels or, something like that, right? And Manchpar and platform has become here the stage, right? So this is also a machine translation, right? So there are differences in the machine translation results, right? Like what we saw among these first 3, right? All first 3, Y, Z, Y, X, all 3 are machine translators, but you see a difference in their results, right? And what you see, the H revised, right, is a human translator. That also you can compare. So you can see, like, which is more usable and why, right? So the point here is actually in the sentences, the example sentence that I have given is the lexical ambiguity. One is the meaning of sleepers, right? Sleepers has 2 meanings, right? One is those people who sleep, right, who take rest, who lie down and take rest. And another one is the sleepers which are used under the railway track, right? So these 2 sleepers, this lexical ambiguity has given different results for this particular sentence. The same way, one more is the verb lying, right? Lying on the platform. So platform, of course, right, is the railway platform as well as any dais, right? Platform where you stand and speak, right? Platform where some event is organized. That is one thing. Then lying, right? Lying is jhoot bolna, like, you speak lies, or you are speaking lies, or this is lying. People who are, lying down on the floor and, kept, or, people who are lying, or things that are kept, right? So the same way, like, I'll take you to another example. Something somebody found, on a grocery shop, this idli dosa batter. I hope you all are familiar with idli dosa, right? In South India, that we, which is a regular staple breakfast for us. Idli dosa, right? And the batter, they are trying to take it, right, to other places. So they want to, write it in Tamil. The next line, if you see, idli dosa iramavu, right? It is written. And the third one is Hindi, probably idli dosa balebas, right? You can see that batter, the word batter has been translated. Probably they used a machine translation and they didn't have anybody to check it. So you will see that batter has become a cricket batsman. Batter, balebaz, right? Cricket batsman. Those who don't know, like, can't follow Hindi. So balebaz is the batsman. See, batter, why batter should be, like, balebaz should be used for batter, right? You can ask, like, why only batsman, is balebaz and things like that. But batter nowadays we use because we want to use that term as gender neutral term. We don't want to say, like, because women's cricket is coming up so well, so we don't want to say batsman every time, our batsman woman. We don't want to say chairman and chairwoman. We want to keep it gender neutral, so we say chairperson, or batter, in that sense. So it has taken some machine translator that they have used balebas. So many people started asking, then, okay, idli dosa is balebas, means who's the gaindbaz? Like, who's the bowler here? And who's the best batsman? Who's the, was, like, many comments came on the social media platform. I don't want to go into that. But I want to show you, like, why those things happen, right? Some technical details regarding this NMT, which was, discussed in the class of Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan and his team, Udan team, right? They discussed it nicely, but of course they didn't have enough time to, explain the entire thing, right? But you can find their, tutorials, and they have some other presentations, and so, like, they shared all those details with us, and you can go to the website and see that. In that, what they said, like, they are translating and pre-populating. Before you start translating, they are populating that, document with the translation, right? With some translation with the help of machine. And that machine translation is not the systems that, they were used in the past, like originally some rule-based machine translation or statistical machine translation. All those are, legacy systems now. We have moved out of those things. What we use mostly now is neural machine translation, right? That's what they also showed, NMT, which is called NMT, neural machine translation, right? So I'm going to give you some, technical details. Like, previously, right, what the legacy system I said, right, statistical machine translation that was used. In that, you will see there is a corpus of, the language material. Sometimes it can be parallel corpus. The translation of something is there, for the source sentence and the translation. Sometimes it is a monolingual corpus. So it can be either a bilingual corpus or a monolingual corpus, from which the machine automatically learns, right? The machine learns automatically, like, it is automatic learning. It can be supervised or unsupervised, right? Means, like, humans can have control over it, or you just let the algorithm to learn on its own, right? You create a computer algorithm that learns on its own. So, but that is in neural machine translation. But in statistical machine translation, they used algorithms that were based on statistics, right? That was like, the statistics were decided on the probability and proximity, right? Which can come together and which can, occur together, right? That's how, like, what are the words that can occur together? What are the phrases that can occur together, right? What kind of sentences can occur together in a discourse, right? Like, so many information were fed in, right? And statistics were produced out of that for that particular, corpus and the sentences that are there. And machine would learn from it and try to replicate those statistics for you in your translation. Like, for instance, the Tamil word vanilla, right? You'll see, like, the example is I'm talking about moon and colors in our languages, how we are used. Our languages use it. The Tamil word vanilla is a compound, right, which means white moon, right? And it is used to refer, beauty, right? Her face was like vanilla or something like that. It was round shaped, and vanilla always means the Purnima, right? That kind of, right? You don't see vanilla on Amavasya, like things like that. So it's always the round shape, the bright, and all those things, silver lining, and right. So it represented beauty. So white and moon is common in Tamil, right? The combination of white and moon as a compound, right? But in English, blue moon is another compound which is again very popular, and it is used for a sense called rarity, right? Once in a blue moon, she does this. Once in a blue moon she cooks, or once in a blue moon she drives, something, that kind of. So blue moon means rarity. So in English there is a combination where blue and moon, the color blue and moon are co-appearing. In Tamil like language, white and moon are appearing together, right? Occurring together. So this way the machine would create a statistics for Tamil. Okay, white, if most probably it will be white, right? Or black, or like, whichever occurs, whichever is occurring frequently in that language, it will create a statistics out of it and try to replicate that in your translation, right? When it has to produce a translation for you, it will try to do that. So this is a basic statistical probability based, proximity based probability that is used to generate results for it. Now I'll show you right, so something more. One more example. This can also improve. The statistics will improve as the corpus increases, as different kinds of examples come in, right? More equivalents are available, more types of constructions are available. When the corpus enlarges, then the machine will be able to make more statistics and better, probably, or something worse also can happen based on the quality of the corpus, right? So something like, the play of Hindi pronoun, right? For this, the word this in English, right? So see, this Shijila is a name of my team leader, who was the team leader of MT team when I joined NTM. We always used to use this sentence, right, to test machines, right, at that time. This is Shijila, right? So at that time in 2009, right, an SMT, Statistical Machine Translation System, gave a example, like sentence called translation. It produced a translation called "Is Shijila hai," right? Is Shijila hai. I hope you are all able to see this, slides well. Then so is Shijila hai. What is the problem there? I have marked it as with an asterisk, that it is a problem, because we are not associating is here, right, as a demonstrative. Like, we are trying to use it as a pronoun, that this is Shijila, right? Yeah, Shijila hai. That's what we expect, right? This girl is Shijila, right? So that's what we want to say, right? So we are not trying to, like in Malayalam, it would be like, either Shijila Anu or something like that, right? That's what we are expecting. But here it becomes E Shijila, right? This book, that kind of thing, right? Like what you see in the next few things, where I read this book, I packed this book. So this book, right? But slowly, like if you see this translation improved, right? Now, if you see the same sentence, if this is Shijila, if you give to that, machine, right? Before they shifted to another system, right? When they were still using statistical machine translation, at the end of that project, they gave yeah Shijila hai, like, that came proper, right? Without any problem. So the statistical machine translation also can improve, right? And give you better results. But what is right now happening is we are trying to we have introduced neural machine translation, right? Most of the automatic machine translation systems that you see, even the Udan, the engine, that they use neural machine translation, right? NMT, neural machine translation, they are trying to use. Okay, so this machine translation, if you see, right, they have what we can call neurons, right? If you see Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan would use something like perceptrons, right? You can see it in some of his presentation. Perceptrons. So what happens is there are different elements, right? Both in the target and in the source, or within the source, there are different elements, different words, different phrases, and they are all connected with each other, right? Now, this neural machine translation, if you want to note down, this is not about language alone, right? Neural machine translation, the neural machine learning is not about language only, right? It can learn anything. Like, for instance, if you feed a photograph, right? There are many photographs, the corpus of photographs. The machine will learn which pixel is coming near which one, right? And why it is coming near. And it will try to create these neurons for the connections between them, right? So there are multiple elements. It can connect words with the photographs. It can connect words or letters with, the pixels. So it can connect anything to anything, right? Neural machine translation, because anything that is digitally available, digitized, right? The smallest units we can call, they are called neurons. They become neurons for that machine to look at, and there'll be multiple connections between these neurons, right? So like you see in this picture, right? There are a lot of mesh of lines going here and there, here and there, here and there. So you see in a sentence like we saw idli dosa batter, which became idli dosa balebas, but we wanted something like idli dosa, the goal, right? The mix, or idli dosa batter itself, right? Batter would fit in there, so we want to have batter, right? Because many of these cooking channels nowadays, they use the word batter, very commonly, like, they use batter, for making pancake and many other things. They use this batter word. So everyone, batter corn, liya, batter name, batter corn, ekia, okia, like, so every person now knows what is batter, right? In our regional languages also. So we want to keep it as batter. Idli dosa batter, right? Except you have specific terms, like in Tamil, Iramavu was there. It is available. So otherwise you want to keep it batter, right? So in this, you see, right, on the left side, you see idli, dosa, batter. These are the three words. On the right, you see many other words of the target language. But there are connections, right, made between few neurons, right? Neurons are these round, things that, I'm pointing out here with my mouse, right? And there are connections. So dosa is connected through some different neurons, and it is connected to the dosa here, right? So dosa in Tamil has become dosa, or South Indian languages dosa has become dosa in Hindi, which is fairly okay, because many people in North India, they say masala dosa, right? Dosa, it becomes dosa in those languages. Fine, right? Then we have this word batter, right? Now batter is connected to, we see one word is balebas, one word is batter, right? So, and there are other words in this context which has, okay, nashta, which is a breakfast, right? Then Bharati, Indian, South Indian, right? Many words can be there. That is also like, proximate, near. Then dosa is there, idli is there. Then batter is there, balebas is also there. But in this connection, because of the different things the machine will learn, the machine will create a weighted, a thicker line between this batter to this batter than the balebas in this context, right? The context that we were using, right? We were trying to translate idli dosa batter. In this batter, now you see how neural machine translation works, right? There are different neurons, right? So they are all connected to different things. These neurons are linked, right? And those connections will gain weightage, right? Because of the availability in the corpus, right? And through different other strategies, right? It will learn many things. It will not just learn just statistics or probability. It will learn few more things. What are they, right? So the idea is, after making that kind of statistics or proximity, all those things, actually this neural machine translation, you will use a training set and a testing set. This is very important, right? The same learning that the machine has done, it can be supervised or unsupervised, right? It can go on, keep on learning, right, from the corpus. But then it is, right, it undergoes a training. You introduce a training set where formal, proper translations are made available, right, for certain sentences, and the machine also learns from that, right? It's kind of, right, like from the unsupervised and vast, learning corpus, we are restricting it to some approved translation, let's say, right? So, and through that it can again learn, relearn, or use that old learning and try to, right, learn, like align, right, the new properly done translations and what has been learned from here to there, right? It will try to align, the machine tries to align, right? And it can also be put to a test, right? So it can produce, you, like, there is a testing set where, you try to produce and see that whether it is matching with the testing set, right? So then accordingly it will again relearn and things like this. Is how the neural machine translation that you see today are far better in performance than the old ones that produced yes shijla hai, or this, is shijla hai, that kind of, right? So now we don't have those kind of, problems for basic sentences and sentences. For many other, even some complex sentences, the machine gives nowadays far better results in some languages like Hindi or Tamil or, right, Kannada, right? So some new languages, of course, it may still take time, but otherwise the machine is trying to give far better translations, right, for these things. So the idea is they are usable, right? So they are usable, like Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan was mentioning, but not, I would not go to that extent, the way they said, like, it is the machine mainly, then they call the translator Devta and this thing after, for some adjustment, but I would still say the translator is the main person here, because like it's the translator who's going to decide finally, right? So let's say, right, some this training sets and testing sets are being created now. One is this Indian Languages Corpora initiative. You are going to hear, I'm happy that the next lecture itself is Niladri's lecture, and that will be on this, so I don't want to say more. And Linguistic Data Consortium in Indian languages, which is done by, it's a huge corpus of Indian languages produced by CIL itself, right? And a national translation mission, as you know, like produces a lot of translations nowadays, which is, so we have both the source and a human translated, properly edited, reviewed text available. So they also can be used for these purposes, right, as parallel corpuses. So there are ways to improve this NMT in Indian languages now. There is a big scope, and that is one thing, right? So I'll, since we are already half an hour over, so now you see, okay, we saw a problem with idli dosa batter saying idli dosa ballebaz, right? Now idli dosa batsman, right? Now here, what can happen here, right? As a human translator or as a person, I'm sitting in front of this and I've got that result, I can change it and feed it to the machine. Like we said, we can use a training set as well as a testing set. Let's say we have used it something like that. And here, this popular machine translator, which is available, you can see the interface, you will immediately recognize it, right? Here, it allows actually some editing by the users, right? Users can edit the whatever was there. So, Ballebaz was there, then I changed it to batter, let's say, right? I changed it and I verified it. If you see, there is a kind of shield and there is a tick mark there. That shows that this has been verified by a user, right? It's verified translation, right, in this machine translator. So you see below, right, niche dekhenge to Ballebaz has, 3 frequency is very high, right? 3, this thing hashes are there, right? The thing dash, but batter is given now as a result because it has been verified, right? It has been verified by a human translator. So the machine that neural machine translation that learned has been improved, right, by a human intervention, through a human intervention, right? So human has gone there and tried, and we see the best results through this combination. So it is not just the machine learning on its own, it is a human. So what has happened is, batter has many things. I'll not go to this better, like I'll not go to those words for saving time. But you see what happens in this, like in a machine, I have already given this information, right? And as a human being, as a translator, as a expert on the subject, let's say, you give this information, feed this information, and fix it, right? Once you have fixed it, until another person fixes it, or until the machine feels a need, from learning many other combinations that it has to change this, till then the machine will not change, right? For the next 100 years or 1,000 years, it will keep on giving this, right, results for you, because it is a machine, right? The machine will not change, right, unless it learns anything else, right? But whereas if I'm a human translator, and okay, today, my like translator initially, translated sleepers as, so rahe log, right? Those the people who are sleeping, right? Then I told her or him, saying that okay, these are sleepers which are used in, railway transport system, and they changed it. Okay, sleepers, let's keep it sleepers, right? Because we didn't have a word at that time in Hindi for that. Okay, we said sleepers. Okay, but what happens if this person leaves and the next person she takes over as a translator, and the one who helped the previous translator also is not available, right? So what will they do, right? From where will they get that information? It is not possible to pass on the information, right, in human translators where human translators are involved, just like that, right? So in some sense, using, right, something that is reviewed by humans, right, through a machine again, is more usable for translation and localization, especially in localization, right? The the translation of, right, software and its help materials and many things like that, where you will get segments that are quite repeatable, right, or repeated, right, in many senses, right, with small modifications. There you will see this kind of, right, use of machine plus a human translator. The combination of that is more usable than anything else, right? So than just machine or just human, right? So we are coming to the point, right? So now NMT has gone far ahead and doing many things, right? So we can directly like use a machine translator now to look at boards or covers of books like this, and it will then and there within the same background it will translate it for you, right? So this is like a book, right? Indian Constitution, Cornerstone of a Nation. If I show my phone like that, this is from my own phone, right? If I show my phone over that, it is showing, right? Indian Constitution is the cornerstone of a nation. Okay, fine. Indian Constitution, foundation of the nation. It is not exactly coming back to the original, but it is actually giving me something that is usable, right? So I know that this book is about Indian Constitution and nothing else, right? It can be the cornerstone, it can be the foundation, whatever, right? So I'm using the Hindi translation of the original one and trying to go back. That's what I'm trying to do, right? So Bharatiya Samvidhan Rashtra ki Adarsh. It has missed out on the title and subtitle, right? Cornerstone of a Nation is below. So, but it is coming, it is putting it together. Therefore, there's confusion, right? Slightly. Indian Constitution is the cornerstone of the nation, that kind of, right? It is taking it as one sentence. But otherwise, it is fair enough for me to get an idea. If I'm traveling from one state to another, right? If I look at a board, I'll get some idea of where this place is, what this place is about, or how far it is, those kind of information, right? Or something else is there, what is banned, and like if you're going through a forest area, okay, using plastics is banned and those kind of things, right? Or using you have to use dipper in your when you're driving, those kind of things and all. Don't use horns. If you have a board in another language, you can actually use some of these machine translators which use NMT, right, neural machine translation, and you can still work with it, right? It gives you a basic idea, right? NMT in 2020, right, when it was introduced, it has come to this far, right? So I don't want to go much there's some we have Punjabi examples and things like that. Okay, so this pre-translation and localization, right? I want to show you the pre-translation and localization, why we need pre-translation and where should we use it. Okay, we have only 20 minutes. Okay, so in business to business communication, B2B, or business to communicate, consumer communications, business to business or business to consumer, right? Localization, translation, ecosystem, right? In that kind of ecosystem, this is used more, right? It is more usable. Like for instance, a health package of a multinational health products company, right? A company which has health products, and it is worldwide distribution it has of those products. So they want to try to introduce, like you see all these corporate hospitals. I have an example of that. I'll just show you that, right? Pre-translation may use many of these things, like so these products which are there, the product is there, their image is there, their documentation is there, their marketing information is there, their pricing, promos, all these things have to be localized, right? You cannot sell a shoe with pound rate, right, in India, right? Or you cannot sell something like that, right? It has to be in rupees, right? Rupees, this is 50 rupees, not this shoe is 399 rupees, not some 3 pounds or 4 pounds, or it's not like that. So in India, you have to localize those, from pricing information to its promos, many other things, right, that can follow. So at the project level, these pre-translations can be used, right? So I have another example, like see, full body checkup, health checkup for women, right, where the change is actually between two advertisements, right? One is women, men, then the photo of a woman and a man here, right? Then you have some 300 booked, right, and 400 booked in another advertisement. And the main another thing is male and female. If you are a female above 18 years, if you're a male about 18 years, above 18 years, those information is there. One major difference between these two, right, is for the women, right, you see this line, the last bulleted point in the first said, risk assessment, cholesterol, diabetes, stress, ovarian cancer for women. And if you see in the men's advertisement, it is prostate cancer, right? Ovarian cancer and prostate cancer. So the few things that are differ here, and our rest of the things are almost like in construction, in words, and everything, choice, everything, they are the same. So if one part is translated and checked and verified, right, reviewed, that can be easily used for the next one, right? More than pre-translating with simply a machine translation, right? You can use a machine translator for the first one, but then review it through a human being and then use it for the next translation, right? Which will be much easier, right? So a pre-translation is where we, right, that means we mean the initial use of non-translatables, translation memories, machine translation, and or human translation engines against the source in some editors. Okay, so I don't want to go much behind this because we don't have time. I have to introduce the tool also. So where we can actually do this is in a CAT tool, right? A CAT tool like Omega T, right? So in a CAT tool, right, there are many things that are used. Fuzzy logic, MT can be used, dictionaries can be used, glossaries can be used, descriptions can be used, right? It is mostly used in localization projects. A CAT tool is not a translator in itself, mind you that, right? It's computer aided or assisted translation. It is not a translator in itself, right? Like your Google Translator or Microsoft Translator, Bing Translator or Yandex Translator, right? Or Moses or Babel, those kind of things. It is a computer aided or assisted translation tool. So means a human being, right, sits in front and translates it, right? Translates using this tool, because all these things like those presentations, they told us that you don't have to go outside your system for searching this big line of books behind me. You don't have to go this kind of go and search in these books or dictionaries or glossaries, right? You can find them all here inside, right? So the previous matches, right, what has been already done and taken, so that can be used in a thing. A typical CAT tool will look like this, right? So this is Omega T interface. I'm just putting it as a snapshot for you so that you can have a look. Initially I'll show you. So this is a translation a project from a Hindi document to Tamil. Okay, so it is about about the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan kind of thing. It's a document related to that. And so you see there is a main window, the bigger window of this, right? You see, that is the editor, what we call editor. In this, a cat tool like Omega T will give all the source sentences as sentence segments. Each sentence will become a segment, right? You can change it to word level or any other level you want, right? You can give those information and change it, but basic tokenizers, if you use, they'll tokenize the word, not the word, the sentence. Why is the sentence important? Because we use a good we get a good idea of the entire sentence, and then we can translate it better, right? Now sentence markers, right, they will separate each segment by the sentence marker, right? So wherever there is a period, right, full stop, then that will be considered as one segment. Wherever there is a question mark, wherever there is a, in English, right, I'm talking about English, right, wherever there is an exclamation mark, right, those kind of things will be considered as segment, right, delimiters, right? So when you have segment delimiters like that, they'll be segment. So you may ask, okay, I use period after Mr. or Mrs. or Miss, right? What will happen? So if you have, like in this kind of tokenizers, if you have a Mr. and a period and a space followed after that, then it will definitely separate Mr. as something. Or if you have a number, like it's a list, right? You have 3 dot or I dot a dot, a list, and it has a space after that, it will definitely separate it as a separate segment, right? Or if you have, right, but if you don't leave a what do you say, a space, right, then it will consider it as part of that segment, right? It is part of that segment, so it will go for the next sentence limiter. But in these kind of tools, like cat tools like Omega T and all, they'll know, okay, if it is a list and where the a dot, b dot, c dot, those things are coming, or I dot, the 2 1s and 2 2s and that kind of, right, it will know its list. They are designed to know those lists, and they'll do. Okay, on the right side you see you have a fuzzy match window. Okay, a fuzzy match window. What does it mean? I have a similar sentence, right, which I have translated within this document or from another translation memory, right, which I have from another file where I have used this similar translation. It is available to me while I'm translating this particular segment, right? You see the last segment, right, segment number in the editor, you see at the end of the editor, you see the last segment 0 2 3 1, right, that segment. It says शौचालय को किचन से दूर रखना चाहिए, கழிவறைகளை எப்போதும் சமையல் அறையிலிருந்து தூரமாக கட்ட வேண்டும். That is Tamil. Okay, that you have to build your kitchens, right, away from the toilet, right? That is the meaning there. So it is like translated, pre-translated, and again checked by a human translator probably, and it is done, right? Not probably, it is done by me, so it is done, right? So you see another sentence which is available here. शौचालय को हमेशा, right, घर से दूर. I'm not a Hindi speaker, so forgive me for my pronunciation. हमेशा घर से दूर रखने चाहिए, right? So it says the difference between these two. You see here, from the kitchen, you have to keep the toilets or the bathroom from the kitchen, right? Here it says from the house, right? And you should keep, that word keep, rakna, rakne, right, is available in the previous one. So those 3 words have were there extra in the previous sentence that we have translated from the 0 2 3 1 that we are translating here. So it is showing, okay, you have something similar to that here, and there you have translated கழிவறைகளை எப்போதும் வீட்டிலிருந்து கொஞ்சம் தூரமாக கட்ட வேண்டும், right? So I've used a similar translation there, right? And I've used todi, right? I used like a thing. Now it is showing between the source, 2 sources segments, there is an 80% match, right? 80% match, right? And 62, like it is at different levels. One is at word level, one is at character level, right? That kind of it is showing. So if there are 4 words in a sentence, right, you have 3 words matching. That means it's 75%, right, match between the 2 segments. right? If it is two words matching, it is 50%, right? It will be like that. So that is the fuzzy logic, thing that it will bring out. So it is showing that. Second one, you see on the right side after the top, box, the next one is fuzzy logic. Is next one is glossary. Okay, glossary. This glossary is something which I built during this translation itself. That I know that this word sociale comes, many times. So we have different words, right, or different ways of writing. Kalivarai, for instance, in Tamil, sociale can be kalivarai, kaliparai, right? Sometimes, instead of toilet, if I want to use, sometimes people may use a kuliyalarai, right? Kuliyalarai, oivarai, restroom, right? People can use restroom, those things. So I want to use in this, right, only kalivarai. I don't want to use kaliparai or anything like that. So I have used that. I have created a glossary for this thing, right? This particular thing. I can pull, many other glossaries that are available. Like we had CSTT glossary in Udan system. We have Tamil Virtual University glossaries, right? That those can be incorporated here, because they are all XML documents easily incorporated here. So those things can be made available here. Okay. Then I have kitchen, which is Samayalarai. So these things, this glossary I have created from this, for this particular thing. So whenever I go to a particular segment which has these words, right, there can be more words in the glossary, but when I take a particular segment, it won't show the entire glossary. It will show only those words which are there in that sentence from the glossary, right? So that it is easily usable. Then it also brings in a machine translation example here, right? Machine translation that I've connected to my memory machine translation, which uses actually a popular translator, machine translator. So it is bringing the last box. You see, it is bringing a machine translation result from there, right? Kaliparai. See the other word that it has used. Kalivarai I have used, but they have used Kaliparai. Okay. The same for sociale, which is okay, no problem, fairly acceptable, which is a word for the thing, and it is a standard word, so there is no problem with that. But there are two varieties. I have used one. The machine translator has used the most frequent one, right? So see, machine translator can be better in that sense, producing the most often used, right? So most frequently used things from there. Then Samayalarai ஒதுக்கி வைக்க வேண்டும். It says something, right? The translation, it says you should keep it aloof, right? Where here the other places we said dur rakhna chahiye, right? It is actually saying you should, like, as if, like a taboo, right? Or people have been mistreated and they have been driven away from the society, that kind of ஒதுக்கி வைக்க வேண்டும், right? So they are kept aside, right? Kept aside, right? So it is giving an example like that. So which gives you a meaning, this meaning from the sentence, and fairly acceptable. You'll know what it is, but you need a small modification by the human translator. Now what I'm trying to say is, after the human translator has tried and used, right, their expertise, and she has changed this, and that translation, right, more than now, like if I come across a third sentence which is of a similar type, and the machine gives me the same result, right, similar result, but I have something like what I have actually edited and reviewed, and that is also available to me, I would prefer to use the top box than the bottom box, right? On the right side, you see first fuzzy match box. I will try to use the fuzzy match box than the machine translation box, right? Though machine translation I might have used in the beginning, right? I found, okay, Kaliparai, instead of that, I want to use Kalivarai here, because I wanted to keep this document a little, unique in its own sense, like not from the rest. So Kaliparai, I used Kalivarai to make sure that, I can recognize whenever this segment is, like in this document is seen, okay, this is done by me or something like that, right? I want to introduce something like that. So I use that. But other words, Samayalarai, everything is same, right? Eppodum word is not there, right? Which you can actually introduce, right, if you want, because, right, see the source sentence. I want to come back to the source sentence. Socialai ko kitchen se dur rakhna chahiye, right? Now this sentence simply gives, you have to keep the socialai away from the kitchen. It doesn't say always, right? But in the translation, if you know, I have used, right, something called Epodum, Hamesha, right? Because in the previous translation also it was there, right? If you see the fuzzy match, and I've used the same kind of while like I see the intent behind this segment, and I want to see that, okay, say that it is something similar to that, right? That you have to keep it always from the house, right? Away from the house. The same way you have to keep it always away from the kitchen, right? So this is an intent understood by the translator, who's a human, and use it. The machine will most probably not go into that kind of intent, right? At some point it will, of course, may see all these things, right? We are going towards that direction in development of machines and machine learning, neural machine learning especially, right? But in this case, right, the human translator is slightly better, and there is an intervention you can see, right, of the human translator in this, right? So we have only 4 minutes, right? So then do you need time for asking questions if somebody has? Okay. So in a typical thing, so what happens, right? I have removed that, and I will show you something what so in a machine translator, so what you get is an information that can be basically used, but it is better you use a something that is reviewed by a human translator. That is my point. In that sense, for using those things, a CAT tool is more usable, right? A CAT tool, because it will access those translations that are saved, right? Reviewed and saved in a translation memory, right? It is called a translation memory. It will save it as a translation memory. It will save it as a TMX file, which can be used by anybody, right? Even in some other projects, you can introduce it. So it's not like a machine, neural machine translation result, right, which is every time produced new. But here it is not like that, right? It is already reviewed and kind of sanctified, some sanctity, which has given some sanctity, like okay, this is done and reviewed, that you can try to use and do it. So if you use a CAT tool like machine like Omega T, it will give you, right, it will create a project folder like you saw for Udan also on the desktop. So I'm showing you one of the project folders that is used here. So this project folder has dictionaries, right? You can use source dictionaries too in a CAT tool like Omega T. So you can find Oxford dictionaries you can use for even looking at source words. So if you're trying to translate yourself, right, you can use the dictionary, right, of like Oxford or Cambridge, or those kind of dictionaries are available. You can get the meaning from there better, right? You can get a better meaning. You want to dwell more into the idea of what it is, and you want to research over those terms, you can do that, right? The many senses of those words, right? Not simply take what machine gives or your glossary gives, right? The equivalent. Instead of that, you want to research on the source. You can do it using a CAT tool where this dictionary can be made available, and the glossary that can be uploaded here, like I'm showing you. Okay, I'll 1 minute. I'll show you the window, right, where okay. See, this is. Can you see this window? I hope you can see the window. It's a folder, right? This is the folder, project folder of a typical folder saved by CAT tool like Omega T, right? Where the dictionary folder is there created, a glossary folder is created. See, I have, for this particular translation that I am doing, I have so many glossaries that are put up here. Apart from the glossary that I am creating, right, I am also creating a glossary for my own work, right, for that from that particular translation. So I am creating my own glossary from that work that I'm doing. All those are saved, right? The glossary files are saved in a glossary folder. Then you have this TMX, right, which is the project file that is saved here, right? I don't want to show those things now because we don't have time. Then the source folder where the source file is there. This is a book that we are translating right now. I've completed it, Outlines of Linguistic Analysis, using Omega T. Okay. Then we have the target folders. The benefit of a target CAT tool like Omega T is whatever is your source, it can produce, right? Some omega T, for instance, can use some 30 types of source files, right? Like Word doc or Excel or XLIF, right? Or subrip, SRT files. It can produce a output in the same format, in the same format, and in the same file format, right? So the formatting inside the file also will be same. A PDF, will be produced as a PDF with the same bold and italics and all those things, and it will also maintain. If it is a PDF file, output will be a PDF file, right? If it is a text file, it will be a text file. If it is a CSV, it will be a CSV, that kind of, right? So whatever is the source, it will produce the source. And you have TM, like where the you have translation memories from other things that you have used, other translations that you have used. You can bring that here and use it. So our time is up, so I want to stop it here. So if you have any questions, where you want to see this, and I'll stop presenting. And I don't want to take Niladrija's time, and so therefore I'll stop. You will be more benefited from his talk than introducing a tool more anymore. But we can keep in touch. You can keep in touch with NTM. Many people are, few people are using this tool. Sandeep himself has used this tool in NTM, so they can all tell you, right? Or any of us can tell you if you want to use it. It is downloadable, and maybe it needs in Windows. It needs JRE, Java runtime 8 onwards. You can use it, but in Linux and all, they are pre-installed, and you will get it, right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patient listening, all of you.